I'm Dan Boron. I'm the community planner for the City of Springboro, and I'm here to welcome Sandy Talley from Whitman's Bike Shop in Miamisburg to make a presentation about bicycle maintenance and repair as we get ready for the spring riding season. It's part of our celebration of Bike Month here in the City of Springboro. Thank you.
Let's talk bicycles. There are several different styles of bikes on the market today for all types of riding. But one thing they all have in common is they need to be maintained properly, preventing unnecessary wear and tear, most importantly for your safety. Like any machine, a bike will work better and last longer if you care for it. The best thing you can do for you and your bike is to get in the habit of checking it regularly. A quick check can help you have hassle-free riding and may help avoid costly repairs. Hi, I'm Sandy Whitman Talley, owner of Whitman's Bikeway Bike Shop in Miamisburg, Ohio. I'm here to help in offering a few tips in what you should be looking for when bringing your bike out of storage. It is important that your bike is maintained properly, making for a more enjoyable and safe riding season. Let's get started. I'll be going over a few things to look at when getting your bike out of storage. So one of the first things when checking your bike to see if it's ready for riding for the season is to check your tires. On this particular bike, you can see that the tires are dry rotted, not only cracked all along the sidewall, but the tire sidewall is peeling away from the rest of the tire. So obviously this tire definitely needs to be replaced. Also, something else you want to look for, checking to see if your tires are still in good shape, is any kind of cracks through the tread of the tire and any kind of bulges that might be occurring on the sidewall as well. So again, if your tires show any signs of cracking, dry rotting, they should be replaced. So concerning tire pressure, now that you've found that your tires are okay and you're ready to ride for the season, it's extremely important to make sure your tires are aired up properly. Every tire gives you a recommendation for how much pressure is needed in the tire. And so typically that's going to be from about 30 pounds to 110 pounds on any given bike. Keep in mind there's a lot of different tire widths and sizes, so it's important for a comfortable ride to have the correct amount of pressure, not only for making for a more efficient ride, but protecting the tires from unnecessary wear and tear. So another important safety check item is to make sure that your headset is tight on the bicycle. You do so by grabbing the front brake and attempting to rock the bike forward and backwards. If you feel any looseness or a shimmy in the headset, that will need to be tightened. You can do so with just an adjustable wrench on the head nut, lock nut. In addition, when checking the headset, you also want to take and hold the tire between your legs and try to move the handlebars forwards and backwards and left to right. If again these would be loose, they will need to be tightened. Concerning the wheels, to make sure that they are good and tight, it's a good idea to take and try to shimmy the wheels from side to side. Do so with both the front and the rear. If you'd find that they're loose, you would need to tighten those. Along with, if you happen to have quick release wheels, where you're able to use a lever to remove the wheel, not using a wrench, make sure that those levers are in the closed position. This assures, in both cases, that your wheels are secured to the bike. The next safety tip is to make sure that your wheels are in alignment. We'll demonstrate that on this particular bike, and we'll do so just by spinning the wheel, making certain that the rim is not dragging or touching the brake pads. The next tip is to make sure that your wheel is in proper alignment. You can do so by lifting up on the front of your bike, or in this case, we have the bike up on a repair stand. You just spin the wheel and make sure that it is not dragging or touching the brake pads, nor should the brake pads be touching the tire whatsoever. If the wheels are not in proper alignment, they're dragging the brake pads, The first thing that you can check is to make sure the wheel is properly positioned between the frame or the fork of the bike. For further assistance, you may need to seek professional help. Concerning the alignment, not only check the front wheel for proper alignment, but also check the rear wheel. Again, just spinning the wheel to make sure that it is running freely and smoothly through the brake pads. In addition to making sure the wheels are properly aligned, you want to make sure they're free from any debris. There's no rough edges on the rim of the bike that would damage the brake pads, along with checking to make sure that your spokes are all there and none are broken, which would affect the alignment of the bike or may cause further damage upon riding. After inspecting your bicycle, it's a good idea to clean it. Not only will it look better aesthetically, but it may keep debris from getting onto components or into component areas that could cause further damage. So just suggest some type of household cleaner. You can use a sponge or a rag, and it will just make you feel better about how your bike looks. Typically, storing the bike over the winter, of course, it's going to get a little dirty and dusty, and it's just a good idea to get any of that excess dirt off, again, so it doesn't cause harm to the bicycle moving components. Concerning the brake pads and the wear-on pads, typically brake pads, after they're about 5 years old, they should be replaced. They do harden and crystallize over time, slapping the rim instead of squeezing into the rim of the bike. So for better braking, it's suggested to replace the brake pads every 5 years. To check to see if your pads are worn, you can spin the wheel of your bike, grab the brake lever, look down at the brake pad, and in many cases, brake pads have grooves in them. So if the grooves are still there, you can see light going through the grooves. Also, now a lot of brake pads have wear lines, so they'll suggest to you how much the brake pads have worn. If in doubt, or you feel that the brakes are not stopping well, it is suggested that you replace the brake pads. There are several different styles of brakes. In this case, this is a V-brake. You have a cantilever brake here. You also have side pole caliper brakes, and now there's disc brakes. We suggest looking at your owner's manual for proper maintenance for whatever style you may have. Concerning the gears, most importantly, you want them to be shifting properly. You can check the gears to make sure they're shifting properly by moving the pedals, allowing the chain to move freely, and shifting the shift lever. The chain should quickly switch to the next sprocket in the back of the chain. Do the same thing with the front derailleur. That is your left shift. And you can just turn the shifter and make sure that it is moving the chain properly so that when you're out riding, again, it makes for a more comfortable ride. In addition, chains are one of the parts on bikes that can pick up a lot of dirt and grease. And we do recommend that you just take a sponge or a rag and hold it to the chain, pedaling backwards to clean off any loose grease or grime, oil that may have built up on the chain. This again will help with the life of the equipment with the chain and how the gears shift. Considering lubrication for the chain, or first cleaning the chain, we suggest some type of degreaser, like a WD-40. To clean the chain, you would do so by spraying the chain very well, and then again, wiping the chain just by pedaling the bike backwards to clean all that excess degreaser cleaner off the chain. Then it's very important to use some type of dry type lubricant This happens to be a tri-flow that is silicone based. It goes on dry, so it's less likely to pick up dirt and grime after it's lubricated. After spraying the chain and the sprocket assembly in the back, it would be also a good idea to spray any other moving components on the bike, such as the derailleurs, rear derailleur, front derailleur, where your brakes hook to the frame, and any other moving parts. Then just wipe off any excess lubricant once you're finished. Concerning seats, it's probably one of the most important parts of the bike, because if you're not comfortable, you're less likely to get back on the bike for your next ride. There are a variety of types of seats, anything from a medium type saddle like this one, with springs on the back, actually even springs underneath the seat, to a standard style racing seat as you see here. These seats have been anatomically designed, and obviously there's many sizes to accommodate many different sizes of folks. One of the most important parts about purchasing or putting a new seat on your bike is not only that it fits for the style that you're looking for and the size you're looking for, is the leveling of the seat. If the seat is not properly leveled, and let's say it's going downhill, the front of the seat, you're constantly going to be working with your arms to stay on the seat, making for a tiring ride for your upper body, your hands, and your arms. If the seat is positioned with the nose too high up in the front end, then that also can be very uncomfortable. In addition, a lot of people don't realize this, the seat, in many cases, you're able to move it forward or backwards on the rails of the seat. Therefore, you can position yourself to be a little closer to the handlebar, making for a little more of an upright riding position. Lights on your bike, or any other types of accessories that need checked to make sure they're fastened properly, or in this case, if you have a light set on the bike, you would want to check and make sure that the batteries are still working or the light's working properly. Replace the batteries as necessary. Along with, if you have a lock that's been placed on the bike, make sure that's not dragging on the brake cable or on a wheel, not affecting the bike moving properly. A few items that would be helpful just in case you would get a flat tire when you're riding your bike would be to carry an inner tube, of course for the size to fit properly on your particular bike, along with a set of tire levers which would enable you to remove the tire from the rim and changing out the inner tube. You can also carry a patch kit, so if you'd like to patch the tube instead of replacing the tube when you're out on the road, you could do so as well. I recommend that you replace the tube on the road and come back and patch the tube for your next spare. In addition, it's a good idea to have a little toolkit, and this is a little compact kit, kind of an all-in-one that has multiple tools which all fold up to make it easy to carry in a little bag under your seat, or a front bag or a basket, whatever you're using to carry items. So again, a multi-tool. This has all the necessary hex, Allen wrenches, and even a chain tool, just in case you'd have a problem with your chain. In addition to having an extra tube, a patch kit, and tire levers, you would need a pump, and there are many different sizes of mini pumps that fit on the bike, or you can carry in a bag or basket, allowing you to air up the tire once you've fixed it out on the road. So you can get a small little pump like this. This is a nice little kit because it has a bag that you can place under the seat, has your multi-tool, your tire levers, and the pump. Just basically everything you need, and assisting you if you do run into a problem with a flat tire. To enable yourself to change a flat out on the road, it's a good idea to have a small bag and allowing you to carry a patch kit, tire levers, and a pump, Or you can also use a CO2 cartridge inflator as another alternative in making it a little bit easier to air up the tire using the cartridge versus the small pump. You'll be happy to have either one if you do encounter a flat out on the road. If you would happen to get a slice in the tire big enough that would possibly allow the inner tube to seep through the tire after you install the new tube, it doesn't hurt if you have a $5 bill. You can fold it up and use that as a boot on the inside of the tire so that the tube would not seep through the tire and possibly causing a blowout. Before installing the new tube from getting a flat tire on the road, it is extremely important to check the inside of the tire for whatever may have caused the flat in the first place. Slowly run your fingers through the inside of the tire, also checking the outside visually to make sure that whatever went in the tire is pulled out. If you do not do so, once you get the new tube replaced, you may very well get another flat tire. There are two different types of valve stems on bicycles. This is called a Schrader valve, like what you'd see on a vehicle, a car. And this is called a Presta valve. And it's a European-style valve stem that's used typically on a higher-end bike. Part of that, the reasoning for this is that this particular stem holds pressure a little bit better, along with, in many cases, you're typically these are found on a little bit higher end bicycle, and they go with a smaller hole in the rim so they're not compromising the strength in this area where the valve stem is located. To inflate a Presta valve tube, like you see here, you would just remove the valve cap, unscrew the stem of the valve, and here I'm using a Presta valve adapter, making this stem into basically a Schrader valve. So I can use pretty much any pump in airing up the tire. And then you just pump up the tire. I'm going to go back here for a minute. On the side of the tire, again, the recommended tire pressure is located right on the sidewall, typically on both sides, but sometimes only on one. And in this case, it says a minimum of 50 pounds and a maximum of 85 pounds, or PSI, as noted on the tire. Depending on your type of riding terrain, the weight of the person riding the bike, typically for road riding, you're going to pump the tire up to the maximum pressure. If you feel like you may be in a bumpy area or getting off road a little bit, you're going to have less pressure in the tire, so the tire has more give and a little more protection for the rims. Here I'm just going to simulate airing up a tire with the pump. In this case, this pump has a gauge, so I would then air the tire up between 50 and 85 pounds. Hi, this is Wendy. She's also the co-owner of Whitman's Bikeway Bike Shop in Miamisburg, along with myself. And we're going to demonstrate here the proper fitting and sizing for a bicycle helmet. And of course, it's just, in my opinion, mandatory that you wear a helmet, just because we hear of the stories where people were very fortunate that they were actually wearing a helmet. And just like a car seat belt, your odds are much greater of surviving an accident if you have a helmet on. So what we'll do is first, of course, a customer can pick what they like the looks of. There's a variety of different helmet colors and ventilation holes, and you can get a visor. So it's what you like the looks of. So that's important that you pick out something that you like so that you're more likely to wear it, and especially important for children to pick something they're going to wear. I also always recommend that you place the helmet over your handlebar when you're not riding the bike. So it's just a reminder that you need to put the helmet on before getting on the bike. So in this case, Wendy's picked out this particular helmet, pretty sharp looking, a lot of ventilation, and we're going to place it on her head and make sure that it fits properly. Most helmets now have a retention system, so you can tighten or loosen the helmet to make it comfortable for anyone's head. And then also an important fact is to make sure the helmet is properly adjusted as far as the straps. The straps should be placed so that they are adjusted so that the buckles are just below the earlobe. Along with, once you fasten the helmet, you should have about 2 fingers of play to make sure it's tight around the chin. This will eliminate if you hit sideways of the helmet rolling off the head. So just besides hitting frontwards or backwards, it's important that if you hit sideways, that the helmet is more likely to stay on your head. In addition, many of the different brands of helmets on the market now have crash replacement. So if you would happen to fall and hit your head, just in case the helmet has been damaged, even if you cannot tell superficially, that you make contact with the manufacturer, and they, in most cases, will send you a brand new helmet. In addition to cleaning the drivetrain of the bike and lubricating all the moving parts, it's a good idea just on a regular basis, especially if you've been caught in the rain, or if you have a mountain bike that you're riding on dirt trails and the bike gets, dirty, to clean it after each ride. It's just a preventative for maybe saving the components. It's like anything. One thing leads to another, so you have dirt and debris that gets into the hubs or onto the chain, and that can cause problems in other areas of the bike as well. So you get your bike out of storage for the season and you do some of the checks that I've mentioned. Depending on how comfortable you are with taking care of your own bike or not and cleaning your bike, certainly if you ride over a couple 100 miles a year, it's a good idea to, on a yearly basis, get a tune-up. So it really just depends on how much you're riding the bike and how comfortable you feel with maintaining the bike on your own. But a tune-up typically includes truing the wheels, or making sure the wheels are in alignment. We'll adjust the gears, the brakes, we'll lubricate the chain, actually clean and lubricate the chain, and completely clean off the whole bike. We also then air up the tires just to make sure that everything is in good working order to start off your season correctly. At any time, if you're not comfortable with how your bike is operating, you have any questions at all, you're just uncertain if your bike needs to be maintained or not, I just suggest you take your bike to your local bicycle store, let the professionals give you the advice for what should be done, and that will give you peace of mind in doing so. I want to thank the City of Springboro for allowing me to offer these tips today. I hope this has been helpful. Thank you.